New tonight, this is a story you will only see right here on WTOC. Filipino sailors giving us an exclusive tour of their container ship after they were abandoned off the coast of Savannah in April.
U.S. Marshals arrested the ship when a Greek company defaulted on its loan for that ship. Ever since, the vessel and 15 crew members have been anchored 6 miles off Tybee Island's coast.
Our Elizabeth Rollins has been following this story, and she's joining us now live. Elizabeth, this ship is about to be auctioned off, and in the meantime, the crew forced to stay right where they are.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's cheaper to keep this vessel anchored at sea, but to do that, there must be a crew on board to maintain it, and the Filipino crew can't even make trips to the mainland because they don't have legal documents to come to the country. So we made a trip out to them.
We could not avoid these things will be happen.
Everybody thinks that a sailor's life is great. It is when things run right.
From the sandy shores of Tybee Island, this is about as close as many folks get to international sailors, despite dozens of container ships coming and going every day. Except this one, the Newlead Castellano. Its track on a map is more like a drift. The ship was arrested in April after a Greek company defaulted on its loan. Similar to a home foreclosure, this vessel will be sold at auction. The only difference is this ship comes with a crew of 15 Filipino sailors, and they're just as anchored as this ship until it has a new owner. Making more waves than this vessel has in months, the folks at Hogan's Marina took us out there, where we climbed aboard this vessel where life seems to be in limbo.
Nobody can leave off this ship, not even myself.
Gerard Lapriato works for the National Maritime Service, a firm that polices claims and enforces arrests like this. He was required to move in when the ship was arrested and will remain on board until it's sold. He says the crew is actually in better hands now because not only had the owner of the company defaulted on their loan, this crew was also not getting paid.
They're doing so much better, obviously, since they got paid and was able to send money home.
He says the creditor is not only paying this crew, but also making sure that they have enough food, water, and fuel on the ship.
In the very first place, we are so sad, but here in America, we are happy.
Even though technically none of the crew members have proper documents to come ashore, the captain says they appreciate being this close. And while we were there, it was evident that being on board an abandoned ship was all relative.
The wages are so low in their country, but when they work on a ship, what they make in 1 month would be almost like making in 4 or 5 months there.
Now, because these guys are abandoned here at sea, they can't go to church on the mainland, so the church came to them. While we were here, Father Brannon hosted a mass.
My peace I give you. We need to give them that hope and that this is going to pass, and it's going to be it's a difficult experience for them, but it'll be a great learning experience for them as well.
It helps because, you know, they give us courage, you know, to stay and not to worry, all of those things, you know.
Most of these sailors haven't been home or seen their families in almost a year. Many of them sign contracts with companies and know exactly how long they'll be away from home. But the contracts that these guys signed are now null and void until this vessel has a new owner.
The way the ship sailors like, if you sign the contract, then you have to wait when to finish these things, you know.
Now, this vessel is expected to be auctioned off on the federal courthouse steps on August 8th. Of course, we'll be there and keep you updated on this story.
Good evening, everyone. New tonight, a crew stranded at sea for almost 4 months will soon be able to jump ship.
The Newlead Castellano was auctioned off today after the Greek company that owns it defaulted on its loan and abandoned the ship and crew.
Our Elizabeth Rollins has been following this story from the beginning. Elizabeth, this vessel auctioned off on the steps of a federal courthouse today. We're talking like a foreclosed home.
Exactly. The starting bid was actually $5.4 million, and after a bidding war, it sold for $7.4 million to an American company called MT Maritime Management. I spoke to representatives from the company today who say the crew will be able to return home within the month.
sold $7.4 million.
And a round of applause. That's a big auction. Congratulations.
Tonight, the Newlead Castellano has a new owner. MT Maritime Management, a company based out of Connecticut, outbid 3 other interested buyers, committing $7.4 million. The vessel has been under arrest since April after the Greek company that owned it defaulted on its loan. Since then, the creditor has been taking care of the vessel and more than a dozen Filipino crew members who have been forced to stay on board because they don't have the legal documents to enter the U.S. When we visited the crew last month, many had been at sea for more than a year and knew their ticket home was for the ship to be sold at auction.
We're going to try to make it as fast as possible to get them off, get them home.
Daniel Schilt, who works for MT Maritime, says they realize this crew is ready to go home, which is why they're going about business a little differently.
This process is faster than a standard sale. Typically a sale could be 30 to 60 days, but this one obviously is going to be expedited to get the crew off who's been sitting there.
And the creditor that's been taking care of the crew for the last 4 months protected their precious cargo up until the very end by participating in the auction, driving up the final price in a bidding war.
We didn't want to see the vessel get sold for anything under $7. Again, we were outbid and we were happy to be outbid, but it was really an effort to protect the value of the ship.
It was a win-win for everyone today. The creditor didn't lose money in the sale. The crew will be allowed to go home within the month. And the new owner will soon put this vessel back to work.
She's a dry cargo ship, so we'll be doing fertilizers, grains, cements, anything that goes bulk.
Now, as far as jobs for this crew, officials with MT Maritime tell me there's no guarantee that they will recruit some of these current crew members. But remember, this crew has been getting paid by the creditor and it's been well taken care of over the last couple of months. So as you can imagine, some are just looking for some time off the water.